Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Yeah, it is afternoon here.
Hey,
That's
it's
true.
good to be with you.
And it's finally great to meet you in person as well. Well, not in person,
Yes.
but via Zoom.
Yeah, this is a blessing for real, for real. And yeah, I know you're recording for your show, and this is great. I mean, I've been trying to catch up on some of the episodes because it's just so much knowledge. And yeah, thanks for having it on YouTube for us.
Well, I just have very a smidgen of knowledge, but I share what smidgen I can with the masses. That's
Well, if you got a smidgen of
true.
knowledge, man, you do not have a smidgen of knowledge.
Well, I try to be humble. That's for sure.
Not for sure. Well, Doe, how you wanna dialogue today? Because this is I'm really open. I just really honestly want to have a conversation with you, reflect, and yeah, kind of just vibe. Really.
Okay. Well, like I said, you just shoot me some questions. I'll go ahead and answer them to the best of my ability.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
And real quick, how's the weather out there in the Bay Area right now?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, it's well, with climate change and everything, we start having summer super early. So
yeah,
it's
pretty much. Oakland's gonna start looking like Atlanta pretty soon.
yeah, I'm like, oh, so it's burning up. Yeah, and I'm out here in the 707, so it's definitely always hot out here. I just moved back home from Oakland.
Okay.
Um, so it was super windy in Oakland, because you got a port and shady and everything.
All right. And that's the Vallejo, right? Is it
Yeah,
Vallejo?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Is that where my friend E40 is from?
born and raised.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Because he went to
E40.
Grambling. I went to Southern.
Oh really? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm from North Vallejo, where Mac Dre is from,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
E40 is from
Rest in
South
peace.
Vallejo.
Rest
Yeah,
in
yeah,
peace.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so
Great history.
oh yeah, no, the Bay Area is great history. Yeah, that's like deep roots. Well, not as deep. That's where my family migrated to, both sides, my mom and dad, to
Oh
the Bay
wow.
Area
Wow.
and Richmond, California, and San Francisco, and got in Sacramento, and got all kind of caught up in the whole Black California craze. And
Well,
that's really, yeah,
I love the Bay Area. I mean, I had relatives off Telegraph. I don't, it's a street
yeah,
heads right to Berkeley, UC Berkeley.
yeah.
And I used to visit them when I would come up from Los Angeles. And, they live right behind some kind of elementary school where they had a basketball goal. And when I had free time, I just played some basketball. And then they had a boys market right further away from that school. But I used to walk and go to Berkeley's campus because they'd always have some music events on the lawn. And it
Yeah.
depends on, and that's, I just was loving the groove to that and check out the
Hmm.
atmosphere because UC Berkeley is really a positive hornet's nest of intellectual activism. And that's why I'm so proud to talk to you because again, you're like I say there uh, that school has a deep tradition and then activism.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and resisting state repression too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's what that activism is in response to,
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so it's deep to be a part of that legacy. And that's why I chose to stay at Berkeley. I think Berkeley is the greatest university in the world,
okay. Well,
because the
it's
opportunity, the
up there.
history. Yeah,
It's
it's
definitely up there.
arguable. It's arguable. I'm a proud alumni. They call me a double bear. I went there for both my bachelors. I got my bachelor's in Black Studies from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
that's the first, well, San Francisco State had the first Black studies, but, we was the first African American studies department in the country.
Wow. Well, I think of San Jose State. I think of San Francisco State as well as Berkeley and UCLA, obviously with Angela
Oh,
Davis
yeah.
and I don't, I'm pretty sure you're aware, but members of the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party were students there. And of course,
Yeah.
Bunchy Carter and John Huggins were students and who were murdered January 17th, 1969. So,
Hmm.
those institutions have a long history of organization, activism, and definitely being pillars for the community in terms of consciousness. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And really because the public education aspect of it, because, private education in California is so such a thing, that the UC and why it's so important for public education is the access. And like, that's where you find most of us at. Unfortunately, due to like affirmative action being banned in 1997 with Proposition 209, you know, our numbers at Berkeley particularly has like pretty much been below 2%
Oh, wow.
as a Black student population after affirmative action got taken away.
Yeah.
But prior to that, that's like basically where the majority of Black professionals were being educated at in the UC system.
Oh, okay. Right. Wow.
Yeah, so it's deep, you know. But then you see how that counterinsurgency come through, and so the university really organized hard for to repeal affirmative action in 1997. The Board of Regents actually they proposed that, so it's deep when you think about it.
Well, it's like a pot or a cup of black coffee. You put a little
Yeah.
cool it down, lower the numbers, and then you know, go ahead and take off with your systematic agenda.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Which is really why I'm so excited to connect with you for this interview, because a lot of my work at UC Berkeley, I'm currently a PhD student in geography, or a PhD candidate, but I'm also the external affairs vice president for the student government, which is called the Graduate Assembly.
Okay.
And this whole year, I've done a lot to really champion intergenerational knowledge sharing.
Okay.
Our organization celebrated 50 years of being in existence.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so, you know, graduate student government actually was a byproduct of the Black Power movements, of the Third World Liberation Fronts, and also graduate students being in solidarity with those movements to think about education advocacy, right?
What did Eldridge Cleaver, he said, the information is the raw material for new ideas. And in a
Yeah.
world where we need new ideas, that is definitely a valuable commodity.
Yeah. So our organization is all about graduate student education access, because, you know, we all know that we need that higher level learning too, you know, to go into deep study of the issues. And so we hosted a conference this year called Analysis Pending Revolution, you know, which is a nod to Survival Pending Revolution and what the Black Panther Party was doing back in the day. But, you know, for our times right now in 2021, you know, the analysis needs to be kind of, I don't know, reinvigorated or readjusted, or, you know, we need to be in a dialogue with each other across generations, across diaspora, across many differences, really, to get to the situation at hand. During our conference, the main goal was to discuss police accountability and the trickery and deception that's currently going on with our national police reform movement and some of the alternatives that are being proposed, right? But does that actually end the immediate brutality against the Black community, right? And so, you know, as a you know, collective, we're always thinking about, okay, analysis. And so really, you know, you're a part of the conference as well. You're a part of our continued thinking about revolution and what it means to be in education.
Okay.
So really, yeah, the nature of my questions are really, really to honor the work you've done to historicize the Black Panther Party, and also really even people like Sharif Abdullah, who's someone I really vibe with, you know, as an anarchist myself. And you know, all of his work and that you've done to preserve, you know, just on your YouTube page to get to know him. So really, you know, this interview is about a mix of any things you've learned while going through this history about the Panthers and things we should be mindful of, and then also some of what your work is in this world.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I any questions you have or you want me to lead off, it's up to you. I'm ready to you know, go ahead and go.
So the first question is, what draws you to the Black Panther Party legacy today, rather than joining new movements such as Movement for Black Lives or the new Black Democratic Party or other organizations out there?
Okay, well, right now, currently, I'm not a part of any organization, if you will, anymore, past the Panther Vanguard movement out of Los Angeles. But what led me to the Panther perspective, if you will, or the Panther ideology, was a trip to Africa. I went to a conference, the Nation of Islam, actually. I'm not a member of the nation, but the Nation of Islam had a conference in which 2,000 African Americans or American Africans went to Ghana. And it was there, and I'm pretty sure you saw the pictures, where I met Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture. And I had a chance to pull him aside and talk to him. And of course, everyone wanted to, talk to Brother Ture. But he spent some time with me. He said, I first introduced myself, and I said, basically let him know about, some of the work that he did that I'm very knowledgeable about, and how proud I am of him, and what have you. And I kind of shared my history in terms of just coming up and what have you. And after speaking with him for a while, he was studying me very closely and said, "Well, brother, you have some great ideas and concerns. Are you a part of an organization?" And I said, "No, sir." Well, brother, if you have all this commitment and knowledge for your people, why not apply it through an organizational apparatus to bring that into fruition for the community? And if you just serve 1 or 2 days a week on behalf of your people, do you know the tremendous impact that would have for our community? Because it's beautiful that you're able to talk the talk, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to walk the walk. So in that instance, I was challenged, and I was like, wow, okay, I have this knowledge that I'm gaining and I'm articulating with people, but I don't have an organizational apparatus to bring it into fruition. So when he challenged me to join an organization, I started to think and study organizations from the past. NAACP, like I said, they have their perspective, which is more tied to integration within the system. Southern Christian Leadership Conference. First of all, I'm not a preacher, so I couldn't join that. Congress for Racial Equality, CORE. I'm not a businessman. And I just ran, and then there was groups like Republican New Africa, which I do respect, but there's no landmass to implement your government at this time, even though I believe in reparations. So I just went through a litany of organizations, and the only one that seemed to be a fit for me was the Panther movement, or Panther perspective. And at that time, obviously, the Black Panther Party ended in '82. And Los Angeles actually happened to be one of the last vestiges of that outside of Oakland. And so when I got back from Africa, about a week later, I saw a flyer in the community newspaper, and it had the image of this panther. And I just kept looking at it and saying, wow. It was almost like finding a woman you've been dreaming about, but you can't put your eyes on what she looks like, but you know what she's gonna do for you. So I saw that image of the panther, and it said, hey, this remembering the Black Panther Party Festival Forum, and it was going to be at the Marla Gibbs Theater in Los Angeles, Baldwin Hills, pretty much. And so I attended the event, and I saw Kwaku Duran, Sharif Abdullah, Charles Boko Freeman. All these would become my comrades in the Panther Vanguard. And of course, Kwaku Duran was the coordinator of the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party under the leadership of Elaine Brown, who was the only woman ever to lead the Black Panther Party. And she was quite a capable leader as well. And so that made me not only go to the event, and then I met Sharif there, and I started I said, brother, you want to come back and organize the food? They had 1,000 bags of free food to give away to people. So what I did, I went and I went from sitting in the audience to participating in the food giveaway, and to needy families that came to the event. So that helped me kind of say, okay, well, this is carrying theory into practice, and that's why I actually joined. I became a member the next day, and it's interesting because when I went to the this quote unquote Panther meeting, I sat down, and to my right was a brother who was slim, and he had long dreadlocks, To my left was a short brother, light skin with big afro. And the tall brother on my left was Ronald Freeman of the
Mm,
Freeman brothers of the
mhm,
Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party under Bungie Carter.
mhm. Yeah.
To my left was Charles Boko Freeman. He was a member not only of the Queens Black Panther Party, but also the People's Party 2 in Houston that was led by
Mhm,
Carl Bernard Hampton, who
mhm,
was assassinated in
mhm,
July 26, 1970,
mhm.
or 71, I think it's 70. So I
Yeah.
had, and I was like, my first instinct was, wow, this brother looked like Black Jesus right here with
Mhm,
Ronald Freeman. And then the other brother
mhm.
looked like Haile Selassie, the king of Ethiopia.
No, literally.
I think I'm in good company.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's how I really joined the Panther perspective.
Mm,
And you know, it's interesting because we were meeting at the Elegant Manor in Los Angeles. And from there, you know, we got tremendous support from Bunchie's Panthers, if you will, Ronald and Roland Freeman, as well as Wayne Farr, Mohammed Mubarak, just you know, a bunch of support from these first, I would call first generation Panthers. So that's why I got so enthused about being part of this new organizational apparatus. And the next time I saw Brother Kwame Ture, I let him know that I was part of an organization now.
oh, yes.
Yes,
No, that's
yes,
a
ma'am.
beautiful story.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a
Yes, ma'am.
beautiful story. Yeah, because you kind of basically you was with the OG stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. They
Yeah.
were really mentors. And we came out as a new African American Vanguard movement. But
Mhm.
Wayne Parr, who was always so outspoken, and you know, he didn't mind letting the curse word go here and there. He say, "Hey, I need to put down that African American whatever shit, and just say, hey man, y'all Panthers, right?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Kato Gato Cooks, who was a member of he was also with the Bungie Panthers after Bunch Carter, John Huggins were assassinated. He said that we were the reinvented Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party. So there was tremendous
Mhm.
honor as well as pressure to
Mhm.
continue serving the community, body and soul, as we used to say, and that really helped me, you know, really carry all my theory that I had for years into practical application for the community. And so that's what I had tremendous experience and you know, just learning from, you know, just all these first generation comrades.
Mm. That's powerful. That's powerful. And really, yeah, my second question is, can you speak to how you first came to realize understanding Panther history as critical to understanding today's conditions?
Yes,
Because I think sometimes people shy away from Panther history because like Panther history is living history. Like
yes,
some of these people are still alive.
right,
Sometimes
right.
sometimes you don't even want to speak on it because you don't want to speak out of turn on like some, like because oh yeah, such and such was like this, and then you'll hear a whole different perspective. So it's living history and it's always changing. And I wanted to know, how does that help inform you today in our current condition?
Well, you know, sometimes times change, but situations don't change. Some first generation Panthers say, hey, it's worse now than it was back in our day, you know, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of repression. So we could learn from the organizing techniques of the Black Panther Party, because you have a lot of people that, you know, they bring forward so much theory. But thing is, how do you apply it to the community that makes an impact? And
Mm-hmm.
so thing is, I would say to anyone, students, you know, everyday people in the community, organize, you know, in terms of things that are absent of your community. It might be, you know, there's a food shortage. You know, people could come together and solve the problem without waiting for the government, you know, to do something. You know, and really be a part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in today's conditions, you know, there's such a heightened consciousness, because that's what I'm most proud of with your generation and the younger people as well. They're out there. I mean, they're making their voices heard. Of course, during my day, I didn't have social media. We didn't have social media. We just picked up a newspaper. And thing is, obviously, if we didn't create the newspaper, we had to read, what was in the paper. It might have been real, might have been some BS, but thing is, we still had to deal with the systems propaganda, if you will, as opposed to, or I call reactionary propaganda, as opposed to proper propaganda. And that's why we recreated the Black Panther newspaper with the Panther Vanguard. And we had learned much from the paper that the party produced. Of course, Kwaku and Sharif. Rest in peace to Sharif. I miss him a lot. Probably one of the most dynamic speakers. You've heard him speak before, right? And he was so dynamic. Yeah. Yeah. I would say just. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Sharif, he's someone as a Black radical thinker, I think everything he was breaking down was so important. I heard a 30-minute speech by him about it was at the Solidarity Fest, I believe. He was talking to like some punks and some feminists, and he was just telling us we all need to come together because the state is coming together and becoming very powerful against us. But I appreciated how he was talking to that audience. I couldn't imagine him talking to a room full of like white punks, but that work is important because they soldiers too. And that's essentially what he was saying,
Yeah, well, one of the organizers, the main organizer of it was Peace Punk, and it was at Coos Cafe in Orange County. And that's when Panther Vanguard members, of course, Sharif Abdullah led the condition down there. And wherever Sharif was, he could blow, as they say. The old school say, man, that brother could blow. And but he really, to me, he really reached the grassroots, the everyday common brother and sister, the brothers and sisters off the block, but also attracting, everyone because, his message was so authentic. And again, he died in April of 2015. And the interesting part is that I really appreciate you picking up my book, so you can kind of look at some of that history. He was the one who told me, brother, you should write a book on us. And I said, well, brother, I mean, you and Kwaku and Boko, you have a lot more experience than I do. Much love. Thank you so much. And you have much more experience than I do. And he said, nah, brother, you should write the book. And after that, I just started doing my little breaks at work, just writing, because I like to write on paper first before anything else. And I remember just within a couple of days, I had 15 or 16 pages written out. And then I had to obviously type it, what have you. But it was Sharif Abdullah who said, brother, you should write a book. And I remember expediting my writing process when I heard that he was sick with cancer. And then he eventually ended up transitioning, to the ancestors. So I expedited that process. And that's why I even wrote the book. Otherwise, I would have never even written it if it wasn't for Sharif Abdullah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Well, wow. Well, now I'm going to read it in that spirit then. Okay. It's a thick book. Man. Yeah. This is some heavy stuff.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've never taken a journalism class. I don't remember taking a writing class. Yeah. I do have some college, but my education is not past high school in terms of degree. So it's just based upon, because I'm not an exceptional person, but I've had exceptional experiences and I've met exceptional people. And so I'm a part of all I've met, really. And so yeah, you can blame all my influences on writing the book and other things I've done.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, powerful work. And honestly, now that I know what I know about all of the exclusionary practices in higher ed, our people could have had doctorates long time ago.
Oh yeah, I had to go to work though.
Yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? There's so many conditions, but yeah, one love. So just to kind of like get some of your thoughts about today and what's going on with like Panther imagery, and we had a lot of mainstream Panther kind of discourse out right now. When we had Black Panther, the Marvel movie in Oakland,
Mhm.
There was like downtown Oakland, they made it Okanda,
Oh, okay, right.
and
Popular
the
culture.
yeah, disregarding the fact Wells Fargo had all these predatory loans,
Right.
particular zip codes, but they want to
Right.
put kente cloth on 9th Street.
Oh, wow.
So like, what are some of your thoughts as someone who, cherishes the Panther perspective, hung out with the OGs, was really up and close personal with people who really struggled through this? What are your thoughts on, movies such as like Judas and the Black Messiah, for example? And just in general, what should we be mindful of when we're consuming these perspectives?
Well, I think that what we see today, like the Wakanda, and then there's the images of Panthers and what have you. I think it's good, and it's good, but it can be used as a negative to really get you away from the principle of organizing, and to attach yourself to catchphrases. Because catchphrases really don't do anything in terms of organizing something for the community. And so I think it's good in a way because the fervor of the youth today is so unbelievable and inspiring. It's just that, maybe they need some direction on how to hone it into doing something positive for their community because, fervor, without, it's kind of like, I always say it, a platform without a program is symbol without substance. A program without a platform is a charity. So the
Yeah.
thing is, how do you implement it in the community? How do you look at the system? Because the system was designed to create what it was designed to do. And thing is, if we get the same result generation after generation, continuing protest, it becomes a systematic issue. I think it was Eldridge Cleaver once said that America's founding fathers created a standard higher than the level of their own behavior. But the failure to, bring themselves to, the failure to bring their attitudes in line with those high standards created the abolitionist movement back in the day, created the civil rights movement in the 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, created the Black Power movement in the 60s, 70s, and also created the fervor following the Rodney King rebellion, which I was in Los Angeles then, and then now creating the Black Lives Matter. So it really is a thing that went way back, but I always love to quote, and I'm gonna get to Judas and Black Messiah. I love to kind of quote Bobby and Huey, who said that uh, the one thing they love to do, because they're very constitutionally, very eloquent in terms of describing what we should have constitutionally, even though originally we weren't supposed to, that wasn't even part of, we weren't even included in that history. But they said that the party said, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for people to separate themselves from the political bands which have connected them to another, and to assume amongst the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations in which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, with a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, dictates that it should declare causes which impel them. And it say, when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same objects, events, and designs to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish that system and create new guard for their future security. And so they took that part of the Constitution and said, hey, we can have a revolution in this month.
Yeah.
And
Securing the
so,
future.
yeah. So I would definitely say that a lot of what's going on, I think, is good in terms of information. But how do you put that information in theory into practical application? And again, the system was never designed for us. They categorize us as 3/5 of a human being. Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 3. And that is the behavior of the policeman that stops us on the street. Because if you really think about it, the policeman is nothing more than the military arm of the establishment. And what is its aim? To continue to maintain the status quo. What is the status quo? Blacks, poor, and oppressed at the bottom, white elite at the top. And so thing is, it was never designed. Again, you got to look at the system and say, it wasn't designed for that. And but we as the people, power is the ability to define phenomenon. So therefore, as Bobby Seale used to say, therefore we have to define that phenomenon, come together, no matter what race, color, creed. And again, we know that we live in a very racist country. I disagree with the Republican senator, what's his name, Scott, and also Vice President Kamala Harris. This is indeed a racist country. But I think from the Panther perspective, thing is, that's, I guess the Panther perspective would say, well, you know what, that's not what it's all about with us though, because the thing is, we believe that when you have people against a system, instead of always a race thing, when you have people against a system of oppression and they come together to fight it, then you have all power to the people. And that's what I think the youth and everyone today can definitely get in terms of power to make change for the community. Let me talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. I thought it was a good movie. I actually interviewed the assistant director to the film, Das Leum. And of course, I don't know if you know that, like I say, I used to fly up to Chicago and help with the Fred Hampton Jr. campaign. He was in jail for 7 years, framed just like his father. And I got a chance to, look at the film, and I felt a certain comfort with Sister Akua, Deborah Johnson, which played in the movie, obviously, and Fred Jr. I felt a sense of comfort in terms of, well, most of it will be on record or what have you, but I understand why the move was made, or the movie, I guess, got to a certain level where it had this mass appeal because the sympathy put upon the character of William O'Neill as almost like just a victim, and thing is, a lot of people don't agree with that. And I can understand that because, again, it was a very selfish thing to do in terms of turning and being an informant, whatever circumstances force him to do that. But for him to go ahead and play along and get money and then do what he ended up doing, and then after filming a episode of Eyes on a Prize, because when you're wrong, you're wrong. And thing is, for him to walk in the middle of the freeway and end it, obviously he was dealing with some demons in and of itself. But at the end of the day, and some people may not agree, but again, you can't go after the parrot. You got to go after the parrot master. So therefore, he was a victim to a certain degree, but he was a very immature, selfish person to help really kill Fred Hampton along with Mark Clark. And it's interesting, the Chicago Black Panther Party, again, they did a lot in the community. They had a lot of influence. One of the best chapters when you study the history of the Black Panther Party. And I thought overall it was good that it came out. And, and one other point too is that one of the most famous members of that chapter of the Black Panther Party Chicago, her name was Yvette Marie Stevens, and she went to DeSable High School and in Chicago, and she joined and helped with the Breakfast for Children program that Fred Hampton always definitely exceeded at, and selling the newspaper. When Fred Hampton was murdered, she quit the Black Panther Party, threw her Panther gun in the Lake Michigan, and she went on to a music career, and she's now known as Shaka Khan. So Shaka Khan actually was a member of the Chicago Black Panther Party.
That's deep.
Yes.
That's deep. Man.
A lot of history.
Man, it's too much. That's
you okay
it's
there?
deep. I mean, it's always deep. It's funny. I'm wearing my grandmother's sweater.
Oh, beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Oh,
this
beautiful.
is Miss Dorothy Williams. Yeah, Miss Dorothy Mae Williams.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful queen. That's
yeah,
queen,
and
Queen Mother.
oh yeah, this Mother Patterson of St. John's Missionary
Okay.
Baptist Church, and even growing up every week we was at the Richmond Soup Kitchen because there was like a interfaith coalition of all the, because Richmond, California is the city of churches.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And funny enough, so both of my grandmothers are from Richmond, or they came out here to Richmond. And my grandmother Betty was actually a part of the Richmond chapter and was helping organize when the young Black man got killed in Richmond.
Yeah, Denzel Dow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was my grandmother helping to organize with that, and Lynch's, and really close to David Hilliard and all them. And then my grandmother Dorothy though was always in the church, and growing, and so I had Panther grandmother and then the church grandmother.
Oh wow!
When
you
was
on lock.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got, I'm highly protected. You need both. You need both. The spirit,
indeed.
Because it's all spiritual.
That's true. That's true.
But it's funny because it's like, I was like, oh, I used to discredit my grandmother. I was like, oh, she wasn't helping out because it's like, oh, it's really my other grandmother, right?
Oh.
But then as we were talking, she was like, yeah, we used to let the Panthers use our church for the free breakfast program. Wow. And then it all just started like coming together because she was a church organizer and she always had space available. And being able to like organize to have the Panthers be able to use the church space too. So it's a contribution all throughout history of people in the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
Whether they may officially be a member or not, all Black people wanted to see the Black Panthers, survive.
Absolutely. And that's that, what they say, that's like coalitions, whether it be the church, Panther movement, that's how, you can show people that, hey, when we come together, we can accomplish so many things.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why I love, all respect to Fred Hampton Jr. He actually came to Berkley for an event, and he spoke to the students at the Fannie Lou Hamer Black Resource Center. Which was student-led, student fought for. And, he was talking about, how our ultimate goal is to, make the street soldiers, who are politically unconscious. It's our job to make them conscious because they're just, politically unconscious street soldiers, and so it's deep that he's, bringing his father's legacy to this moment, you know what I'm saying? And so I just love.
That's a beautiful thing. And also, I was going to say that one thing about the movie, I thought about Fred Hampton Jr. so much because he never got to see his mother and father together and interact in real life. So I was like, wow, that has to be something very, very odd or interesting or sad, or I'm not sure what his emotion was, just looking at his parents on screen, something that he never got to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought the movie really struck me to the core because, it's they were so young and he was very young. Mm-hmm. And thinking about, my experiences in youth organizing, especially in student organizing, especially organizing at UC Berkeley, which has a whole history with the COINTELPRO, right?
Yes.
So it's you're vulnerable as a young person, and so the movie really shook me to my core, and especially I thought one of the poignant points was on just how they did him, how they did Fred, how they poisoned him, and as for me, I was like, as a movie, I was like, whoa, we're at war.
Yeah.
That's like war tactics. And, obviously we're at war, but it was in that movie where it's like, wow, this is like straight espionage. And these are the type of tactics and strategies that they really did on these young Black kids, really.
Yeah. Well, the year 69 was the year of the Panther in terms of the way the COINTELPRO, FBI, it was the year of elimination. And they really almost succeeded in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, they say those critical years are like from 1966 to 1971 are like those really critical years of the Black Panther Party.
Absolutely.
And really that kind of gets me to my next question is like, how influential was Bungie Carter to the Southern chapter of the Black Panther Party? Because, I'm a student at the University of California. I've been on the front lines trying to get equity and access
You know.
to higher education because it's important that we have higher level knowledge. I'm personally in the STEM fields, I'm in the sciences,
Mm,
technology.
okay.
That's the type of information that we need to really be able to really fight back, right?
Oh, right on. Right on.
Right, but when we're limited to that knowledge, right, and we're definitely going through a particular genocide. And so, as the UC students, we're gearing up to demand reparations. About in 2016, the students down at UCLA were fighting to get Campbell Hall renamed to be the Bungie Carter Hall.
Oh yeah.
So it's unofficially the Bungie Carter Hall, but we hope to formalize, his memory and also the memory of John Huggins and, all of the Black Panther Party members who were impacted by counterintelligence. So, really, this is kind of like why I was like so interested in you because you kind of wrote his story in a way I had never really heard it before. I only heard his story through oral history,
Mhm. Okay.
and through like urban legend.
Right.
And
Right.
so I wanted to know, how influential, was Bungie Carter in his loss and even the loss for the Southern chapter at that moment and even how that impacted even the second wave.
Okay. Well, I have to first give credit to Ronald Friedman. I went over to CAPA, the Coalition Against the Police Abuse Office with Michael Zinzen. And, Ronald would come to our office and he'd go to CAPA and just help out. And whenever he saw me, he just always sat me down and talked to me. But there's one day he said, hey, I want to tell you about a man named Bungie, brother. Because I know you've seen the posters and y'all got it in the office, but do you really know who Bungie was? And I tell you, he broke it down while we were folding gang truth letters, for the, what have you. And I that's how I really got to know about Bunchy Carter, who was the founder of the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party. I learned that his family came from Louisiana. My folks come from Louisiana as well. And I got a chance to interact and organize some things with his mother, Nola May Carter.
Mm.
She was volunteered at the South Central Senior Center just off Central Avenue. And if you go up further on Central Avenue, that was the site where they had the 41st and Central shootout when you had
Mm.
600 police officers against 11 Black Panthers in the office. It was 9 men, 2 women, Tommy and Peaches. And matter of fact, I knew Peaches actually, Sister Moore. But when it comes to Bunchy, he's probably the least known of the iconic Black Panthers, during that heightened era. And that's why I wanted to, because knowing the people who, served under him or with him, I wanted to write an article because, Ronald would always say, yeah, they called him Bunchy, like a bunch of greens. And that's how I got that. And I thought it was just such a slick wordplay. I said, I'm going to use that for the title. I'm going to submit it to the San Francisco Bay newspaper, and they, loved it, and it came from the heart. So I got to really talk about Bunchy and the Southern California chapter. Most people don't know that there were more people were killed in the Southern California chapter than any chapter of the Black
Mm.
Panther Party around the country. It
Dang.
was the first place that they used SWAT, the police tactical unit. And that was the first time it was ever implemented on the attack on 41st and Central. And so that was the first time it was ever done. And there were many, another thing about the Southern California chapter, many of those who, you know, I guess once the chapter closed after Bungie Carter and John Huggins were murdered and a few other, of course, Geronimo Pratt, they hemmed him up on the tennis court murders. Even though he was in Oakland,
Yeah.
so he was on a phone call with the sister trying to get a car in Southern California, and he was in the Panther meeting in Oakland telling her what to do, and that's when the tennis court murders happened in Santa Monica. And so the thing is, there was so much with this chapter, including the actress I mentioned. Matter of fact, what's the young lady from Highlight? She's what is the one? Uh, God, I can see her face. But the thing is, it was a Hollywood actress that used to help out or used to give money and support. They actually made a movie. I think I forgot the actress name, Kristen something, but she played this Seabird. Yeah.
Well, I just went down this Charles Manson rabbit hole because I just saw that Brad Pitt movie, and then they had the Panther movie. They had framed the Panthers, and I was like, wait, hold up. So then I went down this whole rabbit hole and then learned about Geronimo Pratt through that was crazy. Yeah, but then Seaberg, the white girl, they was all hanging out,
and she supported them. So they were just so much, to this Southern California chapter that Bungie started. And thing is, by the time he was assassinated, he didn't live a year. From the time he organized, it was right after the Free Huey rally that they had at the sports arena, which they had a picture of all the Panther leadership, and then you had Maulana Karenga's Us organization. You had politicians in the sports arena. So that's when he announced the formation of the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party. And by January 17th, 1969, he and John Huggins were assassinated on the campus of UCLA. And I just wanted to really just let people know more about Bungie if they didn't know some of the details, and how LA had a very unique perspective outside of Oakland, Chicago, or any other Panther chapters. Everyone was unique from what I can see and understand. Even the People's Party too, who eventually became the Houston chapter of the Black Panther Party with my comrade Charles Boko Freeman, John Bungie Creer, another Bungie, and he has a very unique history as well. He started the Las Vegas chapter of the Black Panther Party. So there's just a plethora of history, and I just wanted to really focus in on Bungie, his influence. They called him the mayor of the ghetto. He was so revered. I mean, going from prison, Nation of Islam, he had an influence there. Prison, he had influence, obviously. He spent time there. Pretty much Eldridge Cleaver tried to coax or interest him in the Black Panther Party, and eventually he came around once Eldridge came around himself. And so it was just really important to talk about Bungie, talk about that legacy. And Los Angeles is the only city that had a 3-era Panther movement, whether you call it Black Panther Party, whether you call it Panther Vanguard, whatever. It goes from Bunchy Carter's Panthers in 69 to around, as you say, 71, and then everyone went underground. And then Kwaku Duran, under the leadership of Lane Brown, organized the Southern California chapter, or I should say reorganized the Southern California chapter. I think it's from 77, and it maintained until 82, which was the end of the Black Panther Party. And then in 1994, Sharif Abdullah, Charles Boko Freeman, of course, B. Kwaku Duran, they formed the Panther Vanguard, originally New African American Vanguard movement, and then we changed the name. So that's the reason I think LA is very special. And thing is, with Bunchy Carter, he's pretty much the progenitor of the Panther movement in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I love that because I think in your article I had learned about Slauson, like he was a part of the Slauson gang.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Which
I think is
Nipsey Hussle, he was starting to do some wonderful things in his community, and he believed in giving back to the block and enriching the block. And so thing is, he was, I'm not promoting any gang affiliation or what have you, but any organization, whether it's viewed as positive or negative, it's still people to come together, get some things done. I just hope it's positive instead of negative. And originally, of course, the Crips were, they really started off as an organization to protect their community, and then it got into, of course, the proliferation of drugs, the tribalism that does definitely impact Black communities, especially young Black men, who are disempowered and looking for a sense of power, and sometimes not in the most positive ways.
Man, I mean, that was all part of the agenda too.
All by
design. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's all by design. But it's deep. That we make those connections today because when we're consciousness building, because of how strong the counterintelligence program was and how hip hop was used as a vehicle to,
Yeah.
put subversive programming out there, right? About
The importance
self-hatred.
of the infiltration of popular culture. That definitely is a big thing. And just like you said with COINTELPRO, you didn't hear of it back in the day. And you don't hear of it now. Why? Because it still exists. It's still around. It's still going down. And it might go down even rougher because this new conscious masses of young people are really putting boot to what of the system. And they just need to learn from some of the OG's experience because, again, at the end of the day, the Black Panther Party wasn't successful in their ultimate goal. The New Panther Vanguard was not successful in its ultimate goal. So we are here to say, hey, this is what we did positive, this is what we did negative, and to definitely hope that this young generation carry it forward as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep coming back until it's finally done.
That's right.
We got
Absolutely.
no choice.
Yeah.
So we are one big family, and so I guess you're speaking to this next question is like when we're reflecting on Black California politics, then to now, because Los Angeles for me, like it makes sense why they were the ones targeted by the FBI because of the Watts Rebellion.
Right.
And then also other things in Los Angeles and Black landowners in Los Angeles and just the Fugitive Slave Act and Black people's relationship to California is very interesting. And it just makes so much sense that both Oakland and Los Angeles are these two critical sites for a Black revolution, for our whole nation.
Yes. Absolutely. And one thing I do recognize is that every area, every place has their own struggle or has their own challenges. But Los Angeles and Oakland just seem to be that trouble was heightened. So, because I know I was a teenager when I first moved to Los Angeles. And my relationship with the LAPD was not good. I got pulled over all the time. And the funny thing is that, again, if you studied history of LA, Chief Parker back in the day, he was he was a renowned racist. And then you deal with Gates later on during the Rodney King Rebellion. Some people say riot, but people were rebelling against the same conditions. And it was just really difficult. I didn't think I'd live to be 40 when I lived in Los Angeles. I honestly got to say, well, at some point I'm going to be killed because, of course I lived in certain communities as well where the struggle was a lot realer. But Los Angeles and Oakland definitely were a hornet's nest for subversive activities by the government. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so be praying for us, California Blacks.
Oh, I definitely
will. I'll be praying for you, down there in the South too, and I know there's so much going on across this country. And so, what, in your opinion, what are some contradictions that, you have found to exist from the time of when the Black Panthers first organized till now? That could help mobilize us today, like, something to kind of leave us with in terms of what do you really think this struggle is all about, in a sense?
I think the struggle is about people coming together to solve the issues of the community, not so much running to the government, who was proven unwilling and unable, and it wasn't designed to help. But at the same time, I definitely I believe that people can definitely look at problems that we have in the community, organize around those problems. And I think even though a part of me says, you shouldn't do it, but the thing is, I think these political electoral campaigns by local people, because the local politics, I think, is more impactful to the immediate community. And so I see a value in that. I see the intelligentsia, from students at, your college, Berkeley, and other colleges, city colleges, to the acquisition of information and disseminate that information and how it would be best for the people I would definitely recommend that people get a better understanding of how this system is structured and how they fit into it. And again, race has always been very much a part of it, but it's not the ultimate issue because it shouldn't be. I got respect and love for John Brown, who just celebrated his birthday recently. Viola Luiso, who came down to help with the voter registrations, and a lot of people got to realize that, for young people, I say them study history, and also, if you look at the what I call the original Black Panther political party, the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, they were formed in summer of 1966. I remember a shirt with Kwame Ture, Stokes Carmichael had a shirt that had a panther on it. And the reasons for that, obviously, as you probably know, that they in Lowndes County, they were 90% of the community, but yet they had no political power. So they say, okay, well, we don't want to join the Republican Party with the elephant because they're not doing nothing for us. The Democratic Party really takes form in the Dixiecrats, and they have a little rooster, a little raggedy rooster with the emblem white supremacy emboldened across his chest. So Black people in Lowndes County say, nah, that's not the organization for us. So it's like, well, let's form our own organization. And they created essentially the Black Panther political party. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale would order flyers from the Lowndes County organization, as well as getting information on the Deacons for Defense and the influence of a Robert Williams, Negroes with Guns, and as well as the Cuban Revolution, and even I guess cultural aspects of the French Renaissance, where they had the berets. So, that probably played into it as well. But I think with today, with the youth and progressive people, no matter what age they are, just get the information, come together to see how to carry that information, that theory into practical application for the community. And even though that people, most of us are against the government itself, there can be some things that we can get, if we organize and put pressure on the government. There's some people in the government that are doing some, when I think of Bobby Rush and again OAC, the sister from Minneapolis as well. So they in Sheila Jackson, there's people that are trying to do some things. But again, I always say, well, it really wasn't designed for us, but let's discover the capabilities and information to make the quality of life for all better here in America. Because America, again, we're not a melting pot. We're more like a salad. And sometimes the salad dressing connects us. So salad dressing is like issues. It just connects us. Okay, well, we can come together because we got all this salad dressing on us. so that's how I'd definitely inspire the present generation to organize, get the information, and how to carry I guess theory into practice. Again, as Bobby Seale said, power is the ability to define phenomenon, then in turn make it act in a desired manner. So we have to make our local, our national officials accountable so that they will act in a desired manner. Otherwise, they got to get kicked to the curb.
Yeah, basically. Deep. Well, those are all my questions.
Oh wow,
that was awesome.
It has been a pleasure to speak with you, and I hope that pretty soon, once all this is over, because I'm getting together another version of the From Old Guard to Vanguard photo exhibit, which covers the 3 eras of the Panther movement in Los Angeles. And again, we'd love to bring it to UC Berkeley.
Of course.
And then I get to see my relatives out there as well. They're again, they're off Telegram.
No, we gotta definitely talk about it, and we'll stay in contact. I'm winding down my time here at Berkeley. I'm graduating. I'm getting my doctorate.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so now Dr. Lynch soon to be. So really my mission, in this last year that I'm serving as our external affairs vice president is just to connect community to campus and to do some leadership transition get the students prepared mentally for the fight ahead.
Right.
And I would love to have you. So yeah, we're gonna be in contact, especially for October with the 55th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to see what's going on for that. And I just appreciate just getting to know you. I definitely think this is our first collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you need me, just hit me up with any question or anything you need me to do. Definitely. I won't be at the 55th this year, though. But I was at the 50th, but I definitely would encourage you to, and, again, if you haven't already, reach out to Bill Jennings because he puts on some wonderful events. I know because he worked me to death at a few of them. As one of the organizers with BOCO. But again, anything you need, I will definitely help out in any way I can.
Okay, cool. And yeah, any other historical facts? Because as the students, like I said, we want to definitely formally memorialize Bungie's legacy. So definitely got to work with you on that.
Oh, definitely. My pleasure.
Yeah, we're on the move.
We're on the move. That's right.
So I appreciate you and your time, and I hope you have a happy Sunday. And then I'm gonna follow up with everything too on email.
Oh, thank you so much, and you have a great one as well.
All right, for sure. Have a good one.
All power to the people.
Power to the people.
All power.